This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this beautiful sunrise safari on a very misty Djuma Game Reserve. We're looking at some wildebeest out on quarantine. So far, it's pretty quiet, but you know there's still some action to be found. Tingana was around yesterday with that carcass of his, and there's also the hyena den that I want to check out, and possibly his kill might have been dragged to the hyena den. So there's a lot of action or potential action, and we're going to get going. So jump on board, everyone, for your live safari through the African bush. Welcome everyone. So glad to have you on board my game drive vehicle here in Djuma. We're starting off pretty chilled and relaxed out in quarantine, looking at the antelope and watching their behaviors. It's me, Trishala. I've got Darren on camera with me, and we are ready for an adventure, aren't we, Darren? He says very much so. We're just watching how these wildebeest are all quite close together. And I don't see any impala, which is interesting because the absence of animals can also give you an indication of something that's going on. But this makes total sense because Tingana was in this area. But Steve is following up on that side. I'm going to head down to the den. So it's your live safari, everyone. Use that hashtag WildEarth to chat to us. You can send us your questions and your comments on Twitter that way. You can also use @FC on the YouTube chat stream. You can get your questions and comments through to Final Control. They'll send it to us. And you can also go to our website and sign up and use our questions and comments box. We'd love to hear from all of you. So please do interact with us. That's the beauty of having this live safari, isn't it? We can experience these things together and we can talk to each other and learn from each other. It's really misty and hazy this morning. It's about 12 degrees Celsius, 53 degrees Fahrenheit. It's surprisingly bearable in terms of usually how cold I feel in the morning. Anyway, also, our lovely kitties, please use kids' questions at wildearth.tv. How could I forget about you guys? I love getting questions from the kids. All right, let's move on, because if there's the potential for that carcass to have been dragged, Tingana's kill, that is, to have been dragged down to the den, then I want to be there and I want to see what's happening. Anyway, you can see our screen's a little bit, or the camera's a little bit, there we go. Thanks, Darren. A little bit hazy. Very quiet. Oh, look at that. Good. We're really struggling today, guys, with the moisture in the air. A beautiful, beautiful sunrise. So magical with all the mist. I was trying to tell those wildebeest that we opened with to stand on this side of the open clearings, and that way we could get the sunrise and they would be in the mist. But instead they scoffed at me. At least that's how I interpreted it. Perhaps it's because I ask them the same thing I ask them every morning. Why the long faces? They're probably so tired of me. Anyway, it's such a beautiful morning and I've told you what the temperature is here, 12 degrees Celsius, 53 degrees Fahrenheit. But why don't you go over and have a look at what the weather is like at our other destinations too.
Good morning and welcome to the dawn, welcome to the sunrise in the east. Always amazes me how quickly that orb can rise. It is a nice fresh morning. Tingana's kill was stolen by hyenas. They are dragging it, or have dragged it towards the den. His tracks have followed for a while, and now they seem to have moved off. So we're going to see if we can figure out where the Duke has gotten to. Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve, joined by Hat on camera, and we are excited to have you with us. I hope you are as excited as we are to be out in the early morning, where the weather is fresh, but yet very beautiful. And I feel like we should start with a nice sort of silent moment here as we watch the sun rise.
Good morning, I'm heading my
Beautiful Sunday, day of rest, day of reflection, and I can say that tomorrow is my last day. So everyone, we're going to move on. See if we can find Tingana. He's probably lying up here next to a watering hole while we send you over to Pridens to say good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Waldorf. We are at Eco Training Pridelands on Bushwalk. At the moment, we are positioned at Impala Plains and enjoying the sunrise. Our plans for this morning is to start our walk from Impala Plains, but first we're going to see what is around on the Plains area before we move on to Leopard Dam. My name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Glenn. So we're hopefully going to find some trucks this morning of leopard as well as from lion that came through the area yesterday. That's why we would like to go and work for waterholes again, as most of the animals don't have much of a choice where they go and drink at the moment. In the summer months, there's a sufficient amount of small little pans where they can go and drink. However, in the winter, these little pans dry up and they're all forced to go to the larger waterholes. And this is often why we have so many predators utilizing that strategy for hunting. For the moment, we're just going to sit here and enjoy the sunrise. Before we move on, we're going to hand you over to Dyke, that would like to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ngala on your African Live Safari Bush. My name is Dyke Koza, and Paul behind me on the camera. So please join us today. We're going to be looking for a leopard this morning and try see if we can find a leopard. As you can see, it's a beautiful day. It's a bit misty, and we just had some lambs calling further away from where we are. Beautiful day today, so that's what we're going to be trying to do this morning, looking for this leopard, and maybe start the morning with the lambs will be really nice because we just heard them calling. We're gonna go in the direction where these animals are calling and see if we can hear this animal. Just gonna look down here and see what we can surprise you with. I just saw something running down into this riverbed to our left-hand side here. Check here. Look there. It's possibly gone. Thought it was a honey badger, but it ran quickly in the riverbed there. So yeah, the plan for the morning is looking for leopard, but we just had some lambs calling, and then we're gonna go down and see if we can find these lambs that we just had now calling further down this road. So please join us on board on your African Live Safari Bush with this beautiful day. Oh man, honey badger is gone. He's definitely gone. Yeah, unfortunately I was hoping to see him again, but he left us. Yeah, so that's the plan for the morning. Gonna quickly go over and see if we can find this lance that we just had calling now further down this road. And then if we don't, we're gonna get on with the plan. Look for a leopard, and then let's go over to Trish at Juma and see what the guys found there.
Well, things are not exactly very active at the den, but June is here. And it actually makes sense because she's such a low-ranking member. Perhaps she was forced off the carcass that was dragged. No cubs are out either. She's so nervous these days. Well, ever since we've been able to see her again since Ruben became matriarch. Every little movement just kind of spooks her. So it looked like that drag mark had actually gone on Weaver's Nest Road, but I'm not sure what happened after that because there were other vehicles there, and I turned into the den road to see if it was something was happening here. There's another vehicle coming. I think she will be nervous. She's looking at them. So remember we were talking about, excuse me, we were talking about the cubs eating meat and how they would do that. And I said that it's the timing. Oh, I feel like I've been to a rock concert. Hopefully that's better. It's the timing. The timing matters because if someone like June drags a carcass to the den for her cub, any of the higher ranking members will chase her off it very easily. So it's all about timing, and I suspect that this is what's happened here today. If you're a low-ranking member, you've got to work harder for your food. You've got to work harder for the survival of your cubs. You've got to work harder for the availability of den space, shade, all those things. There you go. Have you had a tough day? Nancy, you say she looks so sad? I mean, I haven't seen a hyena would say a happy. I know what you mean, Nancy. Her eyes do look a little bit sad, but that's just our interpretation. It's quite likely that she is absolutely fine, maybe just disappointed in whatever the outcome of the impala was. I think it is a little bit chilly still for the cubs to come out. Or at least to come out to nurse. You will see them out at this time in this temperature, but if they're all out and they're playing and things like that, which makes sense because that's when their body temperatures, or they're able to warm up better. They won't exactly raise their body temperatures, but they're able to warm up better, much like we would with exercise. Now she looks less unhappy. Nomi Cakes, you say she needs to go back to bed? Oh, I thought she heard you there for a moment. Go back to bed, June. Nomi Cakes says go back to bed. Ah, but with the smell of impala around, how can one sleep? we go. Closing those eyes again. We're going to sit here for a little bit, and hopefully the cubs will come out, or maybe other hyenas will join, and we'll be able to see what the story is with that carcass. That would be ideal, and then after that maybe we'll check out Treehouse Dam.
Helping kids to fall in love with nature is critical. Our future depends on it. Wild Earth has had the opportunity to take many children from all over the world on safari, some from right here on our doorstep.
Welcome to those of you watching from Hananani Primary School, just outside Dixie Village.
They love learning about nature because now we're having a crisis of rhino poaching. We all need each other, so it is very, very important for the kids to learn about animals, on how to save them or even to protect them.
My favorite animal is an elephant because they are very cute, although they're eating the trees or the plants, but they are still very cute to me.
The way they explained the animals, asking questions, and we saw our names on the screen, it was so exciting.
Across Southern and East Africa, the Endangered Wildlife Trust works tirelessly to save species, protect critical habitats, and benefit people. Join the EWT in returning wildlife to the wild. Go to ewt.org.za to find out more and follow our socials to see how you can get involved. Protecting forever, together.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
We have a baby pangolin, a baby pangolin. This is off the charts. This animal is about from your fingertips to your elbow. That's the total length of this animal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is like now my 4th Christmas in a week. We should do this more often.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we're tracking Tingana with the drag mark. I'll show you in a moment now what the drag mark looks like. His tracks went about 50 meters that side and have stopped. So he hasn't followed the drag mark further, and we've just done a loop around Tambeta. Let me show you what the drag mark looks like in the sunshine. His last track's over there, so we're going to go investigate that over there. But here is a drag mark of the impala. That's his track there. Beautiful animal. You can see that the hyena has been walking like this, dragging the entire thing, and there's even a bit, probably the horn. So it's probably holding the impala like this with its mouth. The whole body is dragging on this side, and the head of the horn is dragging there. So you can see those. And here is the male leopard track following. Okay, so it goes, his tracks follow this about 50 meters there. And his tracks go off. Very nice to see drag marks. Always exciting. When a leopard does it, it's more like a monitor lizard, sort of moves like this. Hyena is able to drag it pretty straight, whereas a leopard will do this, and you'll sort of see the monitor lizard movement, and the tracks of the leopard then get obscured. Sorry about my game drive there. and then the tracks of the leopard get obscured. You won't get beautiful leopard tracks in the middle of a drag mark like that if the leopard dragged it. So still lots of meat. I'm surprised Trish didn't see anything at the den with regards to hyenas feeding, but they can devour a carcass very quickly. So poor Tingy, another meal. But his track's just here before Tsambeta camp. Veers off, so he's probably just lying there next to the road. So we just go and park and have a little look. We already checked Tsambeta water, the little pan. No luck. There's tracks here. If you don't want to put it up the tree, Tinky, you're going to lose it. Kind of what happens. Barbara, incredible strength. Incredible strength. And it's also the way the hyenas are designed, with their front being taller than the back, enabling them to do so and run at full speed. Here is his tracks. At one point here, he just decides, I'm tired now. I'm not going to walk anymore. Last track just veers off here. Jade, it's not necessarily them dragging it away from where they made the kill. They're dragging it to a safe spot. So either they want to put it in the shade of a tree, or they want to put it up a tree. So if a leopard makes a kill in the open, they will generally try to drag it to the nearest suitable tree, which they'll then put it up so that they can eat at their leisure. If they don't do so, this is what happens. It gets stolen. The wonderful call of the southern ground hornbill. Earth lover, that's what they say. For its body size, hyena's got an incredibly powerful bite. I don't know which one's going to hurt you more, a lion or a hyena, but they've got a massive crushing force. So I don't know how they work these things out, but clearly by looking at how hyenas are able to access the bones of animals lions leave behind, they have proven that they've got a stronger biting force. But I still don't know which one would hurt more. If you've seen the mouth of a lion, they're designed for ripping and tearing, whereas hyenas are designed for crushing. So either way, both are incredibly powerful, and it's all about how those muscles attach to the top of the head. And hyenas have got a very sharp cranium where those muscles attach, enabling them enormous amounts of power. So the lion's got a ridge as well, but it's nowhere near as pronounced. Hello, birds in the morning. Okay, we're just having a little listen, and I'm going to have a quick look shortly and see if we can find this male leopard Tingana lying up here close to the road. He hasn't seemed to have come out, so... Okay, well, it sounds like Trish has got a hyena. Let's go see which one.
Not much has changed here except for the beautiful sunlight pouring through, hopefully warming June up. So cute. We're actually saying that I know that she's been beaten up and her ears were at one time looking so terrible and she had injuries all over her. But she's actually a very pretty... Sorry about that, guys, but we're back. I was just saying just how sweet June's face is. And not much is probably going to happen here. I feel as if she's just babysitting. Or potentially just chilling at the den because she can't go to the carcass, whatever the story is there. Did you hear that? There's a crested barbet right behind us that called for us there. That's like above Darren's head. Or just, yeah, and we won't be able to show you. So if she is babysitting here, that will mean that the cubs will come out at some point, but it's likely that it seems as though the cubs might, a majority of them might have been taken to the carcass, especially those that are higher ranked, which is pretty much everyone over June, besides the males in the clan. But her own cub, she might still have, or we might still be able to see her cub come out. They could potentially take her cub to the carcass and not let her come too, because her cub would be, being a cub and being female, would be higher ranked than June is. Hi, LP. You'd like to know if there are any benefits for a low-ranking hyena within a clan? Only the potential to move up in the rank. Other than that, it's pretty dismal. Interestingly, it seems as though higher ranking individuals actually experience more stress. When I say stress, I don't mean emotional stress, I mean biological stress or oxidative stress. What that is the release of free radicals in your body, which basically is particles that want to strip electrons from other particles. So what that does is we call that oxidative stress, and it's a negative thing. That's why you would know that when you see adverts for all these great things and they say it's got antioxidants, Blueberries have antioxidants, etc. It means that it can combat oxidative stress. Oxidative stress can be linked to illness, early aging, things like that. Anyway, oxidative stress is experienced more frequently by higher-ranked individuals than lower-ranked individuals because they've got to maintain their rank. So as a lower-ranked individual, you don't have to maintain anything. You can't get lower than you are. Well, especially in her case, she can't. So she doesn't have to maintain anything. She doesn't have to constantly exert herself in order to maintain her position. The same goes with baboons. Alpha males experience a lot of oxidative stress. Oxidative stress can also be linked to emotional stress, but that's a difficult thing to measure in animals. That's why we're not going to talk about it in depth. But for you, as a human, oxidative stress can be increased by actual stressful situations. Green woodhooper is now screaming behind us. So, she would not experience as much oxidative stress as a higher-ranked individual, which in the long term would actually be better for her health. But only in that category, because as a low-ranked individual, she's probably not eating as well as everybody else. So it's best that she doesn't experience too much oxidative stress. I heard some baboons a little bit. They're quite far away, but I want to go and check it out in that area just in case. So let's get going. We can return here if we don't find anything. But for now, I'm going to send you over to JP at Pridelands. He's on bushwalk.
Good morning and welcome back on Bushwalk. At the moment, we're just enjoying a view of some chakma baboons that are also enjoying the sunrise and heating themselves up before they're going to go active and forage for the day. There's a number of them that's also sitting on guard at the moment, making sure that it's safe. So while the others are busy feeding, as well as busy sunning themselves, they're always keeping an eye open for potential dangers. As we mentioned yesterday, one of the biggest dangers for them is actually leopards and lion. However, in the daytime, they've got the advantage of spotting them, but at nighttime, they know that their poor eyesight is not as a disadvantage for them, and therefore they go and roost up in trees. We've watched them coming down from a tree this morning where they were roosting, and then moved onto this little tree where they're now sunning themselves. We also find quite often that there's a lot of arguing taking place in the early morning, probably typical, just like most families do, before they head off out for work and school in the morning, and everybody just reminds everyone where they fit into the social organisation. We find with baboons that there's a number of top-ranking males that will be in charge of a group, and they'll dominate all the females within that group. What I do find fascinating is if you're a dominant female and you give birth to a female, you'll automatically gain that rank for life. However, as a young baboon male, if you are born to a dominant female, you'll only enjoy that advantage for the first year or so of your life, and thereafter you also have to fight your way to the top. One of the things that I do find fascinating is how they determine rank, and it's not always done on physical strength, but it's also done on who's your friends in the group. So we often find that a stronger male might not be the most dominant male at all in the group, but rather based on who his friends are in that group. So normally when they return to their roosts at night time, we also see that there's a squabble again that takes place, and this time the squabble is about sleeping places. As the most dominant individuals will always take the best sleeping places, and the lowest ranking individuals, they sit on the most exposed branches, and it's most likely one of those lesser ranking individuals that might be taken by a predator such as a leopard if it does manage to get into a tree. I just watch loving baboons. There's always some form of play taking place, and you can see there's a number of youngsters that are chasing one another around.
We just find some African largest land mammal here, which is elephants. You can see they grazing peacefully this morning. How lucky they are. It was a bit misty and a bit of a dew this morning, so that grass is a bit moist. As you can see, that one is browsing on that branch from the tree. And then there's a baby coming from the left, that's possibly walking slowly towards the mother. That can be still maybe 5-6 months old. As you can see, it's just playing around with his trunk, having to learn to use it properly. But the end he's going to learn, as you can see how gray that young one is. I'm sure he's been having a dust bath at some stage. As you can see, if you look at this one walking past slowly, the baby is following. They might be grazing and browsing in the direction of water, because these animals rely on water, but they'll need to drink maybe 2 or 3 times a day with this amount of dry grass that they eat. There's more elephants on the other side there, and that one is just gone past behind us there. So yeah, they're possibly heading towards the water. It would be really nice for us to drive around and all of a sudden here they come, because here we cannot count how many animals are in this herd, because they behind the bushes. Otherwise, these animals are small family groups that group together and form one large herd. And these animals will feed like 14 hours a day, because they need a lot to eat. They can consume about 250 to 300 kilograms of food per day, because they have a very poor digestion system of all what they eat. Only 40% of what they eat get digested, and the rest just pass through their stomach. So that's why they need so much to eat. And also live about 65, 70 years, and they have these 6 sets of molar teeth, which they just keep weighing off until they get that last set of teeth once they're 45, 50 years. This is when they tend to eat more grass than anything else, because they also know they're going through that last set of teeth, and these have to see them through 15, 20 years, otherwise they die of starvation. I was looking around, I don't see any large elephant bulls here, because the bulls are not always with the herd, because these animals are matriarchal society. They lead by the females, so they don't need much of the bulls to be always with the head. As well as these guys, old bulls, once they start getting old, start getting slow as well, can't keep up with the rest of the herd as they need a lot to eat. Besides that, elephants, the bulls to be fully matured, to start breeding has to be between 30 and 35 years. So one fully matured bull can move from one herd to another for breeding purposes. This is like trying to keep the strongest genes within the area. So that's why I don't see any of the bulls here. So he's maybe moving around looking for different herds, maybe hoping to come across females that are on oestrus or on heat, and then he can mate and breed, which you'll tell from a distance if you look around, because the bulls have this sort of like roundish foreheads. Leopard lover. The elephants don't really leave Ngala. These animals are not territorial, I would say, because I haven't seen elephants for 3 days, but they move around a lot within the area because Ngala is open to Kruger Park and the Timbawatu, so they have a very large area to move. Otherwise, with this dense vegetation, you'll think they can be easy to spot, but they're not. You can easily drive past an elephant 20 meters from the road, grazing and browsing in the bushes there. Just by luck, we just happened to see. When we saw these animals in the beginning, we just saw one, and we didn't know how many they were. So they don't really live in Ngala. Every now and then they'll come out. But sometimes when they're in the block, you will never know that they're there, but they're always here. They don't leave Ngala. Yeah, I was talking about these bulls that are not here. Otherwise, if there was one, even if they're far away from us, you can tell. Yeah, we're just going to sit a little bit with these elephants and go over to Pride Land and see what they have for us.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're just watching 2 impala rams at the moment who are just about to start fighting. What we're watching is they quite often intimidate one another by their physical size and then try and push one another out. If you can't push away your opponent by physical intimidation, by using your size and your advantage, that generally ends up in becoming a serious fight. Let's see what they get up to. So in the meanwhile, some of the strange behaviors that they practice is by sticking out their tongues at one another. And quite often you'll also notice that they're constantly flickering their penis. This is also often accompanied by belching and a number of loud snorting sounds. Seems as they've actually reverted to a little bit of manscaping there, busy giving himself a little bit of a scratch behind the ear. The other one was grooming himself just to try and remove some of the parasites off his coat. Quite often see that they will nibble where there's ticks because their teeth is loose in the sockets, allowing them to do so. And generally these territorial rams have got a 6 times higher tick load than those individuals that will be in groups. Unfortunately, they've just now moved behind that vegetation. Let's hope and see that they're going to come out again. I don't want to unnecessarily move now, because if we do move forward, we actually might startle them. For those of you that have joined us for the first time, impalas undergo what we call a rutting season at this period of the year. That's pretty much almost to the end of a rutting season, and in this period of time, these males will try and keep territories and herd as many females as they can into these territories to mate with them.
Do you dream of an African holiday in unparalleled luxury? Where your days are spent in the company of wildlife and cooling off in your very own plunge pool? Well, this month's prize may be the one for you. Expertly camouflaged into the unspoiled environment of the world-famed Sabi Sand Game Reserve, it's hard not to fall in love with Simbambili. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the end of May, and you and a friend could be jetting off to this ultimate escape from reality. a luxurious safari and spa getaway wrapped up in one impressive package. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Our bodies are made up of about 60% water, which means that in a very short space of time, you can dehydrate completely. A relatively efficient way of collecting water early in the morning is to take an absorbent material like a sock and to walk through the grass, absorbing the condensed dewdrops on the grass. Once the material is saturated, you can then squeeze it out into a container, or you can suck it out directly into your mouth.
I love being a cam-up for Wild Earth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Yeah, still with these elephants enjoying the grass there. As you can see, she's now grazing on the grass off that hill, which is one of those termite mounds. That grass is very rich in nutrients because termites are a very good source of protein. These animals like to feed off the grass on these termite mounds because when they build this mound, they make use of sand and saliva. So once the grass seeds get deposited by animals like baboons, monkeys, as well as bears that eat seeds, and then the grass will grow on top of this mound. So these elephants are enjoying the grass on top of that termite mound. As you can see, the babies underneath the mother there, maybe trying to suckle because he still rely on drinking milk from the mother. As I said earlier, he's just learning to use his trunk. It's a beautiful young one there. I was saying earlier, these animals are small family groups that group together and form one large head. So this looks like a small family that have just splitted away from one large head. That big one looked like she is the leader of this small family. As I said, these animals are matriarchal. Actually, the females don't always mate with the same elephant bull because these elephant bulls are just like any other wild animal that will fight for dominancy. If that bull is getting weaker and another strong bull come and take over from him, as I said, they'll fight for dominancy every now and then. So it's not always the same bull that will mate with this female. So it can be different bull almost every couple of years. There's another one joining there. Just have these little tusks. I was hoping that big one turn around and look at us so we can see the size of the tusks, because sometimes you'll see one elephant with one tusk shorter than the other because they use these tusks for peeling the bark off the trees, because these animals are mixed feeders. They'll eat grass, they'll eat roots, they'll eat leaves, they'll eat wild fruits and berries. And they'll use these tusks for peeling the bark off the trees, as well as digging until one tusk kept worn down or breaks off. So they have what we call the slave and the master tusk, of which the shorter one will happen to be the slave one. That's the one that's getting used more and more. I compare that to us like being right or left-handed. So the shorter one will happen to be the less dominant one. So that's the one that's getting used more and more. So the other one will be the master tusk. So she's browsing off that tree there. I can't see the tusks properly. Hoping that she turns and look at us. As you can see through these bushes there, that one is feeding away from us. This, I think that's her baby that's behind her, and the other one, smaller one, is just following. Because these animals are social animals, but the smallest baby, I think, is not hers. That can be from the big one that we saw earlier. But they can socialize and play around together. I've seen baby elephants doing that oftenly, not like other animals. These animals take care of each other's young every now and then. You can see this bigger one has already learned to use his trunk, so he's feeding with the grass there, unlike the youngest one that we saw trying to drink milk from the mother. See how he uses his foot. That foot is also capable of shoveling the grass off the sand, because they will hold the grass with that very useful trunk and kick it off the ground and shake the grass to get rid of the sand or soil off the grass and put it in their mouth. So they don't just pull the grass off the ground and put the whole pile in their mouth. See, there he goes. How gently they do that. He doesn't just put the grass straight into his mouth. First shake the grass, take unwanted stuff away, and then put it in their mouth. So that shows these animals are like us. They don't just eat anything. They'll look for clean things that they put in their mouth. Going away now. See, there he goes. The big one to our left, he just turned. So the right tusk is the one that's getting used more and more because it's shorter than the other one. Yeah, that starts from being young. Normally it will be the first calf that was born by the lead female. The chances are she might take over the head as soon as the mother dies. So that's how the hierarchy will work. As you can see, they're moving away from us. As I was talking about the sexes, like you can see, she's got this triangular forehead, of which the bulls will have this roundish forehead. So this is definitely a female, and then the bulls will have this roundish forehead and much larger size, and the tusks will be thicker than those of a female. I'm just going to reposition again, see if we can get that view again. But these animals are moving away from us. I'm not sure how long they're going to stay. Yeah, her tusks looked slightly thinner. If it was a bull, from a distance, you can sometimes even tell by the size of, because both male and female will have tusks. Besides, the bull's tusks will be much thicker than those of the cows. And then the cows will have much thinner tusks, even though they sometimes cows with very long tusks, but they won't be as thick as the ones of the males. As I said earlier, these animals are grazing and browsing in the direction of water. That's where they're heading. As soon as it starts warming up, they might get to water and drink some water, maybe take a swim, and carry on grazing and browsing, because that's what they do the whole day. Don't have much time to rest because of so much food that they need to eat. Yeah, we're just gonna drive around and see if we can see them from the front, because it looks like they're disappearing from us. In the whole of South Africa, Linda, I'm not sure about that, but I know in Kruger now the number is between 30 and 40 elephants only in Kruger Park. But the number increases every now and then because these animals don't have like a real natural enemy. Sometimes lions will try go for a baby, but as you can see, this is the largest Africa's land mammal. These animals can be very protective to their babies. Yeah. So that's a lot, like between 30 and 40,000, so it's quite a few. For me, people think it's too many, but I think it's still okay because the fences have been taken away. But the question is what's going to happen in the next 50, 60 years when the number increases. Because when the fences used to be there, yeah, we're just gonna carry on and look for that leopard or find the lions, and then we'll go over to JP and see what JP is found. Looks like more elephants.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're just busy watching a bull giraffe feeding on a number of tamboti trees. For those of you are not familiar with tamboti is actually quite a toxic plant. It's got a milky white latex which will lead to blistering on the skin or permanent eye damage if you do get it into your eyes. However, the giraffe have seemed to overcome this problem and he can deal with these toxins. Let's sit and watch him for a moment and see what he gets up to. He's also got a companion with him at the moment. There's an oxpecker that's right on his neck. Those oxpeckers are birds that specialize in feeding on ticks, and they use the giraffe both as a mating platform, as a food source to come and find ticks. Quite often they will also pluck hairs out from the coat of a giraffe or its neck, and they'll take those hairs back to where their nest is so that they can insulate and line the nest. So in return, oxpeckers also normally alert the giraffe of any potential threats and get to remove all the parasites off his coat. One of the things that I find fascinating is how the giraffe can tilt its head in that upward position that we see at the moment. And that's how, due to the special configuration of the atlas and the axis vertebra. And then they've still got that extra little bit of reach with that incredibly long tongue, which is claimed to be up to 45 centimeters in length. You can just see how it's stripping the leaves off the twigs. Good morning, Lucy. No, they're not antelopes. They're in totally different families which they fall into. The only characteristic that they do share with antelopes is that they are ruminants, which means that they've got 4-chambered stomachs and that they undergo quite a complex digestive process. They also hold the record for being the ruminant with the longest gestation period. They carry their young for up to 457 days. And they're also the world's heaviest of the ruminant species. And they can get up to approximately 1,500 kilograms for a full-grown giraffe bull. However, the females are considerably lighter in weight. Other than that, they also hold the record for being the world's tallest mammal, and they can stand up to 5.8 meters in height. Good morning, Laura, and welcome to the show. I'm just trying to see what it is, but it's a little bit tricky to see what it is. It looks like a small injury that occurred there. Maybe it's a fawn or something that penetrated in there and then led to abnormal swelling to take place. Most likely now created an abscess where that fawn or something might have protruded into the side of the face. Luckily, it's not the eye. So what we also find sometimes is that giraffes are also covered with other parasitic growth-like structures. It's actually not a parasite, but yeah, it is a viral infection. That's papilloma that causes lumpy skin disease. And meanwhile, we're going to hand you over to Trish and see what she has on offer.
Look at this little. Very curious about us. Hi, good morning. Hi. Hi. It's about 4 meters from the car. We're standing further away and then it came running through. I'll need to stop and feed right here. Oh, that was a whole mix of different herbs and grasses. You'll find that the youngsters are not very choosy about what they eat. And they tend to want to dust everything they pick up, whether it's grass or not. So that movement of hitting the vegetation against them, that's to take off sand off grass when they pick them up, pick it up, pull it out for ground. But youngsters, having seen adults do it, they'll do it for anything. Look at that, there's no sand on there. When you see the adults do it, you'll see there's a whole lot of sand at the end of the grass, where the roots are. And you'll see it fall as they knock it against themselves. But you, little one, you don't have much sand. So relaxed. Hi, Polly. You'd like to know where its parents? Its mum's just behind it. Behind the bush there. You'll be able to see her behind. There we go. That's where Mum is. And the rest of the herd is all around us. As for Dad, Dad is not involved in any of the parental care with elephants. Look how its ears are tucked against it, making sure to keep those big blood vessels that are behind the ears close to the body. Close to the body to keep it nice and warm. Make sure no extra heat is getting dissipated in that way. It wants to keep all the heat against itself to make sure they can stay nice and warm. Hi Dorothy, you'd like to know if this is a male baby or a female? I actually can't see at the moment, Dorothy. So, with youngsters, the easiest way to tell is to just look behind its back legs. Otherwise it can be quite difficult. You can get an idea from their behavior. Like this one did try to give us a bit of did this kind of trumpet. And mostly you'll find it's young males that will display more often than females. Run up to the car, try and mock charge and trumpet. But this one was kind of in between. It trumpeted, hi, but didn't try and charge, just kind of walked this way. So we'll see when it comes out of that long grass, because at the moment you can't see anything. If it's a male, it will obviously have a penis sheath, and you can see that from a very young age. Get those wrinkles. Come out, little one. Hi, Judith. You say you never think something so tiny will grow up to be so big. That is true. But I'll tell you, Judith, this little one, it's a little female. There we go. A young girl. This little one is probably weighs more than you and I combined, Judith. It's probably about 250 kgs. When they're born, they're already 120 kgs. Well, now they're behind us. It's following Mum. So let's head a little bit forward. Hopefully they'll end up at Treehouse Dam. They're kind of all spread out in this area. Oh, hello there. They're right next to the road and very, very chilled out. This one's feeding so close to us you're going to hear the sound beautifully. See how they pull with their trunk and then slot their tusk between the trunk and the piece of vegetation, and they use that leverage to break whatever they wanted to pull off the tree. It's still so chilly. Our lens is getting fogged up quite a bit. I see another little baby. Hopefully he'll come out on the road. Everyone's like really close to the road. Is that one right there? Hi Nikonova, you'd like to know why they don't get pigmentation marks like Asian elephants? I'm actually not sure what the reason that Asian elephants get those marks is. If it's a genetic reason or it's a result of... or if it's a result of something else. Hello, baby. If it's for genetic reasons, then that's because they're two different species. The Asian elephant is more closely related to the mammoth. The African elephant is further a further relative, more distantly related. Oh, that was a very, very elephanty of you, little one. This is a much bigger stick. Will you do it? Ah. Oh. Oh, this is too entertaining. You don't know what to do with your limbs. They're just all over the place. I think somebody's just woken up. You're a bit wobbly. This one's about a year old. Maybe even a little over, year and a half. Matthews, you say cheeky little one? Certainly cheeky. Matthews, it's best when you see them together, a couple cheeky ones together. They know how to egg themselves on, or each other, and then they all get very, very cute, very brave, come at you one at a time, and then run away as promptly as they arrived at your vehicle. Well, it's good news that they're heading towards Treehouse Dam. But Nikonova, sorry, your question got interrupted by all the cuteness. That's a really interesting question because, like I said, I'm not sure what the reason that Asian elephants have that pigmentation is. But I haven't seen it in African elephants except for in those that are leucistic. Then they sometimes have the bits of their skin that are pinky like that. It obviously has to do with the availability of the different melanins in their skin, but I don't know why one is adapted to having that and one has not. Just waiting for everybody who needs to cross. Then we can move on. We can still see them through this gap here. Let me see if I move forward. Oh no, that's fine. There's our lens getting all fogged up again. There we go. I'm so glad to have found these elephants. I'm going to be spending as much time as I can with them, and hopefully they'll get to the dam and we'll be able to get a good view of them there too.
Fascinating and charismatic, these scaly-skinned mammals are one of the world's most elusive creatures. Here are some unique facts about pangolins. Pangolins have long, sticky tongues that can grow up to 1/3 of their body length. This is to help scoop up their prey. Pangolins walk on their knuckles so they can protect their claws. A baby pangolin is called a pango pup, and it rides on its mother's back for the first year of its life. A pangolin is the most heavily trafficked wild mammal in the world and is seriously threatened by extinction. Join 4 leading conservation specialists live on Saturday, June 5th as they discuss this unique animal and the threats it is faced with.
Take 27. I'm Carol from Chicago, USA. This is me 5 years ago. No music, no editing, real time. I was hooked. Thank you so much for that, Wild Earth.
I had lost my job, and I also lost one of my pets. So Wild Earth has seen me through very hard times, and I just want to thank all of you for being there for me when I needed you most.
We love you. We start and end our day with you, teaching our grandkids all about nature through you, your wonderful educational safaris.
We really do appreciate being on safari with you, especially when it's cold and wintry in Canada.
And considering we've been in lockdown for 18 months here in Saudi and I've not been able to fly back to South Africa, I want to thank you for bringing your safari back into my life every single day and night. I love it, love it, love it.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Here we go with the lions here. As you can see, that one young male just slowly walking towards one of the roast males, but he's not going to go that far. I think you might lie down where he is. As you can see, the positioning tells the story, because he's one of the 3 sub-adult males that have reached maturity and they are about to leave the pride. So the roast male is positioned himself close to that young female, so he doesn't want this young male to get too close to that female, because now they've reached maturity and they start showing a sign of dominancy. And if the other male was with him, he was going to try chase these guys away, because if he goes slightly to the right, The white one is just lying behind the one that was walking and laid down there. So they both here, and they young males, so that's why the rose males doesn't want them to come too close to the females. Earlier on, when we got here, they were lying further away, but this is like a sign of submission for them to show him that they're not gonna give him much of a trouble. But he's starting to have no trust on them, being males, so they're reaching maturity. So soon these guys are gonna have to leave the pride. Like a few days ago, we saw him chasing them so bad, but knowing that they're growing up every day and they're gaining strength, you won't come anywhere too close to them, because he knows they can start to stand their ground against him, especially being alone here, and his brother is not with him. Normally, if his brother was here, I think we were going to see more actions, because they were going to try push these young males away from the pride, because that's what they were doing the last few days. They were roaring and scent marking and chasing these young ones away. So lucky for us to find these lions all together close to each other. I'm just gonna quickly try reposition and see if we can have a better view, because it looks like there's more animals further down the road, the way it looks. And it will be really nice to see how many they are, because having seen these animals together for quite some time, as you can see here, we only see 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I can see the, want me to reposit the 2 white ones. Two white ones, as you can see the look on the rose male, he feels like he can just get up and attack one of these young males, but these animals are all sniffing through the air, of which there must be more members of the pride that are still missing here. So they're trying to pick up the scent from the rest of the pride. But these young males are not going to go too close to him, because they know he's been chasing them for the last 4 or 5 days, of which that's what will happen with these animals. When the cubs are born, the male cubs, as soon as they get to this age of 2.5, 3 years, that's when they start showing a sign of dominancy and get pushed away from the pride by these pride males, go off on their own as nomads. At the nomadic stage, that's when they do most of their hunting until they're 5, 6 years. This is when they can go look for their own pride, or if they want to come back, may come back, challenge the males, fight them off, take over the pride, or go somewhere else and find a new pride. On the other hand, a new male will be a threat to the pride when they have cubs, because he'll try kill the cubs. For 2 reasons, he doesn't want any competition. Main reason is the females yes, one day at a time, because these males will be the dominant males in the area. So these are the males that will mate with the lionesses until these males are gone, and then once new males comes in and take over from these males, and then they're gonna mate with those males, but only the dominant males, Like this is one of the 2 Ross males, and then him and his brother are the only 2 that will mate with this lionesses until they're defeated by other males. Excuse me. Until new males moves in and take over the pride, that's when they'll mate with those new males that are gonna move into the area. Otherwise, sometimes new males will move in and then they'll come on to false oesters or false heat and mate continuously for maybe 5-6 days with the new males, just testing the guys whether some of those that are bringing the strong genes within the area, if they can't carry on that long, sometimes they won't conceive and have babies or cubs with them. Yeah, we're just gonna sit here, maybe reposition the vehicle and see if there's more animals further down the road. Let's go over to JP and see what JP is trekking down there.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. Our mornings tend to be quite quiet at the moment. However, there's always a lot of tracks around, and we would like to share with you the track of a common duiker. That's right over here. So a common duiker is a small to medium-sized antelope, which probably weighs in the vicinity of some 9 to 10 kilograms, if I have to take a guess. And if we have a look over here, we'll see the little tracks. They make little neat heart-shaped tracks. They're quite often also confused with that of impala. However, their outer edges isn't straight, but it's round. And when we look at impala tracks, they also form a little rim at the edge of a track. And with the duiker, it's always flat-footed track. It also makes a little indentation or arrow here at the back part of the track. And one of the behaviors that we always see is that they will direct register where they step onto the track or their own track, unlike impala, where the hind foot is never put on the front. So with duiker, they get their name from their behavior of diving. When they do run away from us, you'll often see them that they dive into the vegetation, and then sometimes they might stare back at us and before they disappear. It's quite a difficult antelope to try and get a proper photo of. Probably don't have many of them as photos. But things that I do find interesting about them is that they're one of the only duikers that are not forest duikers. All the other species throughout Africa all occur in forested environments. This guy has got a wide habitat tolerance, anywhere from fynbos to savanna, and also karoo vegetation. And we also find that there's another interesting behavior that makes them quite exceptional as an antelope. They're one of the very few antelope species which is actually recorded in taking meat, as most antelope are all herbivores. They're only plant eaters. So one of the things that I have seen them trying to hunt in the past was actually a Birchall's cuckoo. And that happened just after that the rain came in and we had a veld fire. And that bird couldn't fly off, so they were trying to pin him down to the ground. But apparently there's records of them even taking birds up to the size of young guinea fowls.
We're still with our beautiful elephants. There's just 2 left here on the road that we are on. Actually, we haven't moved at all. We've just been watching them eat from this termite mound. The rest of them have moved slowly towards Treehouse Dam. So after this, we'll move slowly in that direction too. I love seeing elephants stand on termite mounds. I think it's a nice perspective. The vegetation on termite mounds are usually quite nutrient rich. That's because the fungus gardens, well, firstly the termites are constantly turning the soil, which is great. If you were a gardener, you'd know. And then apart from that, the fungus that they grow fix nitrogen. So nitrogen in its pure form is not available, or rather not, plants are not able to take it up like that. It's got to be fixed. And fungus can fix nitrogen. It's called nitrogen fixation. So the vegetation around termite mounds and on them tend to be very nutrient rich. That's why you often see them quite bare, because when things do grow in it, herbivores are drawn to that vegetation first thing. So you'll find them bare, the actual mound and in the circle around the mound. For the mounds that are more active, it's the circle that's around the mound that the good vegetation grows in. Now she's the last left here, so she's gonna go off soon. Even her baby's left her. Go on, have a drink. No, this grass is just too tasty on this mound. Well, let me swing round now and catch up with the rest of the herd at the dam. I'm going to send you over to Steve. He's also found some elephants.
Welcome back. We've got some mountain climbing elephants as well, with the sun behind them, which makes it quite awkward on the lens. We're loving the termite mounds, everybody, lately, as we've seen all the termite mounds in these areas with the vegetation growing. Couple more coming out in front. One day at a time, I wanted to know if elephant dung fertilizes the soil. Well, one day at a time, elephant dung does so much more than just fertilize the soil. Of course, the fermentation that goes through the stomach of an elephant, those plant particles coming out are 60% undigested, but busy fermenting, loaded with bacteria and microorganisms that are then fed upon by many, many animals, many birds. Many insects live their entire life cycle in the ball of one elephant dung. And so that organic material through the insects, through the dung beetles, through the fly larvae, through the termites is, yes, indeed, recycled back into the soil directly as nutrients, and also through the body processes as well as the body development of the insects that live and die. So those nutrients recycled back, and when the dung is on the ground, it provides those microclimates for many of those insects to breed. It also provides a little cover for the ground, protects it against the sun. It adds a bit of moisture. Hello, little one. Come say hello. adds a bit of moisture, because when the sun is baking on the ground, it evaporates the moisture, so it actually changes the microclimate in the immediate area. And elephants deposit enormous amounts of dung every single day. So they're basically taking vegetation that's locked up, or nutrients that are locked up in the vegetation, and they break them up, they add fermentation to it, and then they make those nutrients and those plant particles more available to a wide variety of organisms. Bearded woodpecker calling. Buildae or majestic. I suppose sweet is also a term can be used. Spending time with elephants is a true blessing. If you've ever been fortunate to do so, I'm sure you'll agree with me. And if you have not done so, everybody, it is one of the best things to do, to find yourself surrounded by a herd of elephants doing what they do normally. Humbles you. Not the best view of this female, I'm afraid, but the others are all hidden in the bushes as well. Okay, we're going to move on from elephants unless we get a better view, and we're going to send you over to Dyke and Bionigala.
As I said earlier, you can see the young lioness is up and looking to go mobile down the road. See, the Ross male is got up and positioned himself exactly between these young males, even though there's still this young pale female in between. See, this young male is limping there. Maybe he got into trouble with the Ross male. Like I said, he won't do much to them because his brother is not here. There we go. See that? As I was saying, the limp could be from one of these guys. The one that was having a bit of a fight with him there, it's one of these young males. As you can see now, is heading all the females with him, roaring, and letting these young guys know that he's the boss, which is very interesting. As I said earlier, these young males are about to leave the area and they don't want to go because they're not sure what they're gonna do, but at the end they'll end up figure out this is time for them to leave. Like I said, having seen this whole pride together, which is very interesting to know where the other young male is, because normally these two young males is part of 3 sub-adult males from this pride. So the question is he still alive? Because the last 2 weeks we've been watching these 2 big males, the 2 Ross males, chasing these young males everywhere in the reserve, but I haven't seen the third young male recently, so it will be really nice if we can see and know whether he's still in. As you can see, if you look at this young white one that's moving down the road, on his shoulder, on the right leg, he's got a bit of a blood. So I think he got into the same sort of trouble that the other one had just now from the big male. It's going to be very interesting what's going to happen at the end, because these guys, surely they're not big enough to hunt for themselves. They're going to keep following this pride from a distance, even though they get chased away. It was even going to be worse if these 2 males are together. We're going to follow these animals and see where they're going to end up. As you saw, after having a bit of a fight with that young male, he did roll. So his brother may have picked up that roll. He might be on his way down here. So let's follow them and see what happens. It's going to be a very interesting morning, though. We might see some more actions. Let's hope this... Yes, they are. Like Eleona was saying, for me, having watched or seen these white lions being born and watched them grow up, as you saw what happened now with the Ross male and the other normal young male, that's what's going to happen with that white male as well. So I hope he doesn't get killed. I hope at some stage they figure out to leave this pride and go somewhere else where they can be much more safer, so we can see them even longer. So, because if they keep following this pride like this, one of them might end up getting killed by the 2 brothers when they're together, because they got more power when they're together than now when he's alone. As you saw, he didn't do much. He could have even been worse if the 2 brothers were here. So we're going to follow them and see where this is going to end. Like I said earlier, it's going to be a very interesting morning to spend a bit of time with these lions and see what they're going to do. As you can see, these young males are following this pride from a distance, as the Ross male is positioned himself between these 2 young males and the rest of the young females. Yeah, let's see. Quite sad though, because these guys still need to rely on the pride to hunt and get something to feed. And then once they get chased off, they're gonna struggle to leave, because they're gonna leave by scavenging from other animals. As you know, males are not very successful hunters. Young males by themselves, they're going to struggle to get some food. See, the white one wants to run into the bushes and sneak in and join her sisters, but he might get himself into trouble, so he's decided not to, just going back onto the road. Quite sad though to see that happen. We wonder where the Birmingham young male could be, because it would be even better if these young males can just go and join him and form a good coalition with him. As you can see, that white one is standing very dead still because the Ross male is just standing between him and the young females. Yeah, but as soon as the lionesses come onto heat, maybe these young males are going to have a good chance to live with the sisters and hunt together, because then once the adults are on heat, the Ross males will be busy mating with the females. They're not going to be with these young females. They're going to be separated for a few days, and then they might get something to eat, because now it looks like they're having eaten for quite some time. They need to eat or get something to eat, get them going a few more couple of days. Yeah, I wonder where the third young one is. That doesn't happen very often, Nicanova. Only time was saying earlier, I've seen the mothers defending the cubs when this young male, the white one, was still young. I've seen one of the Ross males by the Timbavati dry riverbed going too close to the two lionesses, and then they attacked him so bad. That's the only time I watched or seen the females defending. Will do that. I've seen once two lionesses defending 6 cubs to 2 males that came in and tried to take over the territory. That's the only time I've seen that happen. And those cubs did come on to adulthood, but that's the only time I've seen.
On board we have a very special guest joining our live safari today. We have Sue Fogel, who has bought a ticket to Dream.
It was an easy decision to purchase a ticket to Dream because I've been working with animals for my whole life, and I think what Wild Earth does here, bringing live safaris into your home, is just remarkable.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
Well, since I've been watching for such a long time, I thought it would be a good idea for me to come here in person.
Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
If you have a chance to do it, I highly recommend it. To feel the sun on your face and the wind in your hair, and to smell the smells and just kind of be in the animal's presence. It's undescribable. I highly recommend it.
For many years, Wild Earth has taken viewers from around the world to the Mara Triangle, a place of majestic beauty and abundant wildlife. But it wasn't always like this. Before 2001, it was infested with poachers. Illegal harvesting and hunting was rife. Now the situation couldn't be more different. The hard work and dedication of the Mara Conservancy has revolutionized this magical land. But now, the loss of revenue from tourism has created a grave crisis. The Mara Conservancy needs help if they are to continue protecting the reserve and supporting the local communities whose livelihood depend on its survival.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. when they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially sub-adults and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
Look at this. They've all come down to the dam to have a drink. I've just been watching them and just relaxing. It's so wonderful to spend time with them, especially at a dam. Here comes a few stragglers. It's not a huge herd, probably about 15 or so, more coming, maybe 20, but it's still a beautiful sight to see all these elephants lined up at the dam. And have you heard that low rumble there? A bit of chatting going on. What's interesting is when they do talk to each other, obviously they stand still. You'll just see them cease everything they're doing. It's as if someone just said statue, and they stand exactly how they were, just very still. That's when they're listening to each other. And it's sometimes funny when you see most of them standing still, and then there's one that's just doesn't care at all about whatever's been spoken about. Oh, it's so nice to see so many just on the shore like this. This little one drinks. Hey, little. No, you gotta come this side to drink. Yeah. It's a very specific piece of grass it wanted to eat there. Oh, if this one gets any lower, it might put its face in the mud. Oh. So sweet getting to know its trunk, what it can do that's useful, what it can do that's just for play, like grabbing bits of mud. It may look like play, but obviously when it gets really hot, it will want to have the skill of being able to find muddy spots, being able to lift the mud and then throw it on its body. But for now it just wants to get a feel. Look at that elephant second to last with its leg up. Oh, course you want to put it down now. Had a strange pose. Oh, I love them so much. Hi Flo, you say you love the sound of elephants, so do I. The sound of them moving through the bushes, the sound of their rumbles, the sound of them drinking.
The pose is back.
It really is a beautiful sound. I wonder if this one actually has an injury on that leg, because it's the same one, it's lifting up and it's leaning it against whatever it can. That's different to when they pick up one leg to try and assist them in finding the kind of the direction of the infrasonic sound. So perhaps it's got a bit of an injury. Maybe it's just a little sore. They're talking. A few of them are very still. There's the swinging of the leg there. There's this one with a branch. Oh, never mind, of course. It threw it down as soon as I told you. It was scratching its chest with the branch. Oh, I heard a distant rumble there. Hi, Dr. Rocky Balboa. You'd like to know if elephants can swim well? Yes, they can. Very well. Most of the time, like if they wanted to get across this dam, they wouldn't need to swim because they're able to walk at the bottom, but they can swim very, very well. You see it in many rivers across Africa. I can think of the Chobe River. Last time we were there, when we were broadcasting live from the Chobe, you can see elephants swimming, but they swim very, very well. Most mammals can swim well. That reflection, just stunning. Again, standing still, talking. There seems to be a lot.
Yeah, we followed these animals all the way into the riverbed. As you can see, all the ones that are lying in the riverbed now. Oh, there he comes. I was going to say the Rosemary is on the other side. That's one of the young females that's joining him there. And the young males just wonder what's going to happen. So, yeah, that's why the whole day, as you can see, is going towards the bush. It's going to scent muck there. Poor young males don't know what to do. Like I said earlier, with them lying down like that, he doesn't have a problem. The only time he's gonna try and attack them is when they move, because they lose sight on him, so he might try and approach them from behind. See, he's walking slowly and then he stopped, and having some thoughts whether to do. He might as well lie down where he is. Won't go too close to those young males, because every now and then will fight for themselves. As you can see on the background, there's a baboon that's along there. He goes, just lying there. Keep an eye on them. As soon as they start to move away from him, that's when only time he'll try and attack them. Now as they've grown up now, they're gonna leave, I'm sure, before they get into much trouble, of which that will be everybody's wish, because you wouldn't want to lose like a white lion like that. This is one of these very rare lions in the world, and this is a privilege to sit with the pride like this in the riverbed out in the open. Normally these animals will be in some dense vegetation of which you can't even see how many they are. The vulture just flew past them, investigating if this animal doesn't have a kill in it, of which not. I'm sure it's going to sit in one of the trees and follow the movement of these animals and see where they go. Yeah, earlier on there was some impala's alarm calling on the other side, but I don't think it was from or because of these lions that we're looking at, unless the other Ross male had the roll from his brother earlier on, might be coming this way. I hope that's not him, because I feel sorry for these two young males, because they'll be defenseless if the two males are here together and you don't know what's going to happen to them. So, yeah, like I said, it's very sad for me watching these animals being born and watch them grow up, and all of a sudden it will even be worse if I see one of them killed. That's not what I would like to see. Let's hope it doesn't get that bad, because these animals will fight till death sometimes. Yeah, we're just gonna sit here and see if the other Ross males show up, or one of the adult females. Maybe there will be a change. And let's go over to JP Prideland and see what they can surprise us with. It's a very beautiful morning.
Good morning and welcome back on Bushwalk. We're at the edge of a very large mud wallow which has been created by elephant. And what you'll be able to notice is a large amount of feet, foot impressions that has been left in the mud. And as we come straight over here, you'll also notice how the skin folds of an elephant that was wallowing in the mud was left behind. I sometimes wonder if they were dependent on moisturizer, how much moisturizer are you going to need to actually keep their skin moist and supple, seeing that there's so many skin folds and it always appears quite dry. So these wallows that we see over here, they quite often start off with an elephant footprint that has been left in a muddy area. And very soon warthogs will discover that and then start wallowing in it and start delving out the mud. Eventually these will become larger and larger, and then species such as buffalo and rhinos will also utilize them for coming to mud wallow. As they become progressively larger, elephants will start using them as well. And eventually these have the possibility of becoming small pans which can support even hippo. These pans also form very important breeding areas for a number of frog species, as well as dragonflies that will utilize these type of habitats. We also see when these pans start becoming slightly larger, they can also potentially home a number of different fish species. And one of my favorite fish species, which we find to the eastern half of the Kruger National Park, is a tiny little colorful fish by the name of a killifish, also known as a seasonal panfish. And these unique little fish species, they will lay their eggs in these muddy pools. The eggs will then set to the bottom of a pool, and eventually the pool will dry up. And some 6 months later, when the rain comes back and the correct water pressure has been reached, the eggs will hatch again. As we pan out, we can also see a number of other field signs that indicates that elephant has been left here, they left behind. And this is mostly elephant dung. I really find the imprints fascinating, and for me, one of the most rewarding things out here in the bush is to actually look at field signs as well as tracks. These all have their own little stories that they can tell. Sometimes it's actually more fascinating to look at the tracks and trying to figure out what the animal has been doing than physically looking at the animal itself while it's busy doing something. One of my hobbies is birds, and I was at one stage quite obsessive about birding, as well as listing birds. And I've got quite a large record of birds for Southern Africa. However, in the last few years, I've become so addicted to tracks and signs that I've actually been neglecting my birds. This is a skill that can be fairly easily learned, and there's a number of very good training providers out there that specialize in training trackers. Good morning, Leo, and welcome to the show. The easiest animal for me to track is an elephant, because they've got fairly large feet, and they often leave a very clear impression. But then they've also tricked me in the past, and I've lost their tracks, depending on the type of terrain that they are trailing, that I'm following them in. Sometimes if you move over very hard soil, you don't always have a clear footprint that's been left behind. Rhinos also track fairly easily, and once we look at rhinos, I normally go for females and with young, because we know that they generally stay within a small area. If we're following bulls, that can become quite a hard and tricky thing to do, because male bulls often cover a 5 to 11 square kilometer area, which they want to mark their territories, and they do a lot of walking, making it quite tricky to find them. One of the most trickiest of animals sometimes to follow, for me, can be leopard. And it's very easy to lose a track with a leopard. And you also have to be incredibly alert when you are following animals such as rhino, elephants and leopard, because they do hold the potential risk, if you're not alert and you bump into them, that they can harm you. Some of the other things that we've noticed over here is large amount of elephant dung that's been left behind over here. Just want to have a quick look at it. At this time of the year, it dries out very quickly. However, in the summer months, it will retain its moisture for longer. And what we can see is still moist. It's been done in the last few days. However, the outer layer is quite dry. So if we are tracking and trailing elephants and we want to know if it's fresh, we generally go to the dung, put our fingers inside there. If it's still nice and warm, then we know that we're close by to that elephant. If it's ice cold, then we know that that elephant has moved through that area already quite a while before that, and it's not worthwhile following it. If we also look inside the elephant dung, we can see a large amount of different plant material inside here. There's some leaves over there, there's some twigs over here, there's also some frayed edges of bark that's inside here. As elephants can't be picky and choosy, they almost eat every part of a plant. And meanwhile, we're going to hand you back to Dyke. It seems as if he's managed to relocate on some lion.
Yeah, we're still sitting in the Timbavati riverbed with this Birmingham Pride sub-adults, including the Rossmale, that's trying to chase the two young males away. Guys, this is a privilege to sit here in this riverbed and watch these lions, but yeah, I must say, I'm really sorry. I'm emotional this morning to see what happened with these young males, watching that one young white male lion bleeding on his shoulder. For me, I'm just, these animals are like my children's. Watching them being born. And see something like this happen to them. You wonder what's going to happen to them. Yeah, we're just going to sit here and watch these animals. No, not really. Even though they look white, JD, they're not sensitive to the sun. It's just the fact that the skin looks different with the color pigmentation, but it's not that they're sensitive to it. You can see they decided to move away from him now. It's getting warmer where they were lying, so they're possibly looking for a shade, or they're just going to decide to carry on walking like that until they far away from this Rossmale, because I don't think this is the time they want to be with him. As I said earlier, you wonder what's going to happen to them if these two big males can join together. Like I said, I haven't seen the third young male, so you wonder what happened to him, if this what's been happening the last 3-4 weeks, if these guys have been attacking these young males. I ask myself a question like, is he still alive, or he's just been killed by these guys? Anyway, this is life in the bush. That's how these animals live. Like, we get attached to these animals more, like watching them every day, seeing them being born, watch them grow up. Like I said, I don't really have much to say about these animals except them walking down this beautiful dry riverbed and wonder what's going to happen to them, and wish these two young males luck that they survive. They don't get killed by these two males. Maybe if the mothers were here, they were going to do something, because once in a while they'll try to defend their cubs, but as you can see, the males are big and more powerful than the females. There's nothing much that the females can do. Yeah, we're just gonna stay with these animals for a while and see what happens later.
Founded in 1973, the Endangered Wildlife Trust has consistently and effectively worked towards achieving our conservation legacy. Contribute to this legacy by visiting EWT's Get Wild eShop and purchase products with a purpose.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effect down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the number one aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
It is my favorite tree, the beautiful Belanaites mugami, or the torchwood, here on Zoe's Road. And I couldn't be happier because there's some elephant around too. Small bachelor herd, 3 males. The other 2 are a little bit further into the block. This one is just beautiful. Especially with the tree, the trunk of the tree. The trunk of the tree and the trunk of the elephant. Oh, so many things are aligning here. I also feel that the color of the tree, or at least of the trunk, is really quite like the color of the elephant, that gray, dark gray. So beautifully fluted and twisted, all that lichen growing on it. It really is from a fairy tale for me. And to have elephants underneath it is just an extra bonus. This one is not very happy, but it doesn't seem to be with us. such an elephantastic day it's been. All right, let me send you over to JP. He's got an interesting bird for you. Remember, he's on bushwalk in Pridelands.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're just busy watching a woodpecker that's pecking away on the side of a tree. So woodpeckers are one of the very few species of birds that can actually excavate a hole in the side of a tree and use it as a nest. The other species that can do that is the barbets. Most of the other bird species will all create or use holes that are created by tree branches that's broken off, and where rot has created an even larger hole in the side of a tree. So woodpeckers, they've actually got a number of different adaptations to enable them to cling on to straight branches like this, as well as to deal with knocking away in the side of a hard tree. So firstly, they've got toes that are pointing forward and backward, so that enables them to hold onto these surfaces. And then you'll notice that little tail of theirs, that's there to prop them up while they are busy pecking away on the side of a tree. So some of the strategies that they've evolved is that they've got a hinge between the skull as well as the bill. And then they've also got a very broad base to the bill, which can absorb that shock. But even more amazing is that they actually wrap their tongues around their brains, which enables it to cushion the brain against the impact. And lastly, they've also got a very special type of cerebral fluid, which enables to absorb the shock of those impacts. What we also find is that they often peck away on the side of trees to excavate a little hole where there might be a little insect behind the bark. And what they also have is very unique tongues, and those tongues are designed either like mini little harpoons or like a little sticky tipped tongue, which they will then force into that hole and then either harpoon or glue that little grub or insect onto the tongue and then pull it out from behind the bark. We also quite often hear them tapping away on the side of trees, creating a unique little rhythm. And what you can do is you can actually listen to those tapping rhythms, and those tapping rhythms are often used to identify specific species, almost like an avian Morse code that they will use to communicate with one another, instead of making a normal call, which they will also produce. It is absolutely amazing to watch them work, and it's actually amazing to get them to sit still for such a long time, because normally when you do see woodpeckers, it's a very brief glimpse and then they move off. And what they also generally do is they play this little cat and mouse game with you. If you do approach them, where they will go to the opposite side of a tree and go and hide there, and when you try to come and view them from the other side, then they just make their way back again to the opposite side again of that tree. Same strategy that a number of different animals use, like squirrels. They often do that if you try and approach them. And also the tree agama is another species that displays that behavior. Good morning, Jerome, and welcome to the show. As far as I know, that the excavation actually takes place by both sexes. What we also find is quite often that they are very smart about, and some species of woodpeckers, that they will go and pick up the droppings of wood at the base of a tree and remove it elsewhere, that predators can't detect that there is a nesting taking place. Some bird species will also take away the waste products that they produce in the same way to prevent that potential predators can detect that there's a nest. We're going to sit and watch these guys for a little bit longer, but in the meanwhile, we're going to hand you over to Trish. Trish is out there on a bumble. Let's see what she has on offer.
Welcome back. Not too much happening just yet. I'm glad that you got to see a woodpecker. I didn't know that we could identify the species based on the rhythm of their pecks. Bearded woodpecker, that's an easy one to recognize just from the sound of the pecking, because they do that territorial drum. But I didn't know that you could also see or also know what the other species are based on the rhythm of their pecking. That's really cool. Or as I was told, an avian Morse code. Very cool. Well, we're still on Zoe's Road, taking it quite easy, having a look for tracks or anything like that. Nothing of interest so far, nothing that wasn't there yesterday morning, for example. I've scarcely been seeing any antelope this morning either. We saw the wildebeest when we started, but still looking for a nice herd of impala. They were so energetic yesterday. In fact, the last couple of days they have been really energetic. As our wildebeest are just kind of in the distance there. You can just see them. It's interesting. It seems that they are moving further away from quarantine, further to the west, here close to Zoe's. So I wonder where the impala have gone. I'm going to go a little bit west and see if those beautiful herds are still there near Sandy Patch. Hi Leslie, you'd like to know what woodpecker species we get in Djuma? We get the golden-tailed woodpecker, cardinal woodpecker, Bennett's woodpecker, and bearded woodpecker. Just 4. It's easy, they're easy to remember because they all seem quite, or their names are quite unique. Cardinal, Bennett's, golden-tailed, and bearded. Oh, hi Impala, I've been looking for you. What a beautiful herd. There we go, there we go. Oh, they're so graceful. They move so beautifully. His herded her around, and they'll come back. In a bit, you can still hear them. Here they come. Ah, yeah, she's returned now. The ram will come along in a little bit. He's standing just beyond some bushes. I can't, oh well, we won't be able to see them. I can just see him. They show so much personality during this time. I really, really love it. I can hear a parrot in the background. A brown-headed parrot. Let's see if we move a little bit further ahead, then you'll just might be able to see the ram in the gap. Yeah, I think we will. There he comes.
Where's he go?
He's just there. Behind that bush, you can just see his horns. He's surveying his little territory. Hi, Pulsar Infinity. You say very cute impalas. I think so myself. They're common, often overlooked, but they're beautiful, beautiful antelope. At this time, their behavior is particularly interesting, entertaining, and I like to spend time with them, especially during the rut. You are a very handsome ram. Yes, you are, Impala ram. Oh, are you Tatty Ear? Yes, you are Tatty Ear. I've seen this ram around before. I love how during the rut there's so much fighting and so much injury to the Impala rams that you can actually pick out a feature that you can recognize. So I've seen this ram before. You can see his ears are mangled. Oh, I can only imagine what could have done that. Out here, it's so hard to figure it out because it could be a thorn that it got caught on, but it could be a horn, it could be during a fight. Whatever it is, all I know is I've only seen this animal during the rut. The one with the ear tatted like that. Anyway, let me send you over to Steve. He's also on Djuma and roaming around. I wonder what he's getting up to.
Well, we're not up to too much, everybody. We're just lying about, taking it real easy.
He's famous.
9 dogs. It's a Pungwe pack. Okay, so there's 9 of them. Here on Chitwa Airstrip, everybody. And some very flat dogs. They've obviously been quite busy. They've come from quite far. Investec pack, everybody, not the Pungwe. Pungwe, there's 9. So they potentially are denning. There's supposed to be 11 of them. Dylan is here from Chitwa. And at least 2 of them are missing. So where they're denning, I'm not sure, but they don't go too far from the den because they bring food back to the alpha female and the pups when they're ready for it. It's a dog's life.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Steve.
Right here, the voices. We are joined in the sighting, of course. Just going to move back slightly. Micanova, not really. I don't know actually if there is a specific season, but like most predators, they cycle when the body cycles. Different abundance of food throughout the year. And that's when wild dogs become quite heavily territorial. It's when they den around a termite mound or hole in the ground where the female is with the pups, then those dogs will be quite aggressive to anything that comes near that area. But I'm not certain if there's a actual denning time, but there's probably peaks. We're going into winter now. Primary prey is impala and small antelope, abundant. She looks like she's rather bloated. Flask, it happens. Yeah, every now and again we come across them at the right time of day and they're very static. We're probably going to go find some shade shortly. No, Jerome, not at all. They're a pack. They have an alpha male and female. Everybody defers to them. There's no massive amounts of aggression. It's not a dominance, physical dominance. Obviously, there's a small bit of physicality that gets them into those roles, but they're very cooperative. They need each other. There's no selfishness at all. They are doing it for the benefit of the group, of the family, and they all help to rear the pups together. Whereas hyena are very selfish. Oh, that one's got that injured left shoulder. We remember seeing this pack. Or might just be a different dog. The injured left shoulder. It looks like the same injured left shoulder. So I don't think Investex, everybody. Someone can help me with the identification. Must be the Sands pack with the new individuals. The alpha female with the scraggly tooth, perhaps, because they're the ones that made the kill 2 weeks ago, at the dam. Remember, that one who's walking away was the one who came back after killing the Steenbok. And everybody was very upset with him for coming so late. But then I'm not sure the names of them all. They're wild dogs, everybody, and very excited to have them with us. But it's definitely very different family structure, different grouping to hyenas. Hyenas are very unique in their sort of behavior. They will not help each other much. Sans Ottawa, thank you, James. I'm glad I was able to get that one right after seeing one individual with a huge hole in his arm. The female with the scraggly tooth is the one who's apparently denning. Where they're denning, I couldn't tell you. I think they're going to get up and start moving in a moment. Mainly just to somewhere shady. You see, they're very kind, aren't they? They're very, very kind. Such a nice cooperative unit. If hyena could band together the way dogs do, they would be formidable. The amount of times I've seen hyenas try and take on dogs, and they're just selfish. They go in one at a time. They don't cooperate. They don't collaborate their efforts. The dogs just overpower them. But one-on-one, a hyena is much more physical and much stronger than a wild dog. But it's that cooperative, cohesive unit that makes them Africa's most premier predator. We are pack. Lights in the sky, very wild. We do see it. We have had it a few times, to be honest, a few times here on Chitwa Airstrip. It's amazing how they always end up in the same place. Bear in mind, they've probably been very active for quite some time. And the people that were following them for a long time, running and running and running. And eventually the dogs get tired. A beta female. It's also looking quite pregnant. The attention she gets, eh? They all come and give her a sniff. A little protection, lie quite close. All dogs derive from wolves. So these are painted wolves. Domestic dogs are just a version of a wolf that was bred to what we have today. So they're very similar. We all know how pack-like dogs are. Every single dog you have in the world has got a genetic trait to a wolf. Even the little Chihuahua. The difference is everybody are just inbreeding. The crossbreeding of this and mixing that led to all the many very different. We're just going to go lie in the shade over there. It's definitely starting to warm up. Sorry, Gert. It's time to start making our way back from the heat. So they are very much like dogs. Dogs are all very similarly related, as are cats. To some degree, the domestic cat and the African wild cat are very similar, hence their ability to crossbreed, and domestic dogs actually pose an enormous risk to wild dogs because of the diseases that they can transfer. Rabies being a very big problem.
Do you dream of an African holiday in unparalleled luxury? Where your days are spent in the company of wildlife and cooling off in your very own plunge pool? Well, this month's prize may be the one for you. Expertly camouflaged into the unspoiled environment of the world-famed Sabi Sand Game Reserve, it's hard not to fall in love with Simbambili. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of May, and you and a friend could be jetting off to this ultimate escape from reality. A luxurious safari and spa getaway wrapped up in one impressive package. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
And I find getting out to a local royal park brings me so much closer to nature. I can leave my pain at home. And like watching Wild Earth, I find it's the most amazing way to step out of life's difficulties and just breathe.
The chirping and fluttering of these Java finches at the feeder in our garden helps us start each day joyfully in connection with nature.
So this is our piece of nature that we've been enjoying and has been keeping us sane during lockdown. This morning we have 8 oyster catchers on our beach, which is a real treat.
Hug a tree, Steve, just for you.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at and beyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through and beyond Ngala on Wild Earth. Send me live questions through the Wild Earth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Okay, well, how about, I don't know, there's nothing out here in quarantine as far as I could see, but let's have a look. Ooh. At the top of this tree, we can't really see them, but if we just look wide on the tree, we'll be able to see some quellias. They look like quellias, red-billed quellias, as they all move around. But I love when we get to see them move around. So if we just watch the tree, we don't have to specifically go in and look. This is a false marula that they're all sitting on. I just want to be quiet because when they do decide they move in migrations, they're in very large flocks. This one's not massive, but when you hear them all take off, it really is something. Although it looks like they're just going down in drips and drabs now. So nice to see these big flocks. This one's a medium-sized flock, but it's bigger than the ones I've seen recently. So that's lovely. Red-billed quellias. Oh man, I really hoped that we'd get to see them moving in their mimation. Maybe we still will. We'll keep an eye on them. At the moment they're on the grass though, looking for seeds and all sorts. There must be so much of that around with the grass that's been cut and all the seeds that would have been shaken and landed on the ground. So they're really enjoying themselves. So difficult to see them once they're down on the ground though. Oh, looks like we won't get them moving in their mimation, but that's okay. We still have Sunset Safari to go and have a look. We've had an awesome time with all of you guys this afternoon or this morning. Thank you for your questions and your comments. We'll see you.